I don't know if you can hear the geese. They're pretty far off, but it's a neat sound. They're all the way on the other side of the river and probably pretty far down too. But the river is really still. There's not a wave on it. Maybe a few ripples. That's about it. And I'm not sure we're going to actually get a sunrise this morning. You can see a little pink glow, but there's a lot of clouds this morning. Beautiful though, as usual. No matter what it is, it's always beautiful. It's just different, and you never know what you're going to be handed in the morning. So I want to talk to you this morning about, and I actually thought about what I was going to talk about earlier this week, which is unusual for me. Usually I'm thinking about it as I walk down here. But I was thinking when I was making my bread this weekend, or this past week, and I was using a very special wooden spoon. And I'm going to flip this around just so you can see it. This is the spoon. And it just looks like a plain little wooden spoon. Nothing major, right? But if you notice at the top, it has a little BB, which are my initials. And if you look really, really carefully, you can see, you have to look really carefully. Etched in there is the date of 6/22/91, which is the date that my husband and I got married. And this spoon, and it's been so well used and so well loved, but it was given to me by a very special friend. And there's a story that comes with it. When I was 5, I lived in a state park because my dad was a forest ranger. And there was, as part of being in that state park, we lived in the forest ranger's house, and there was, campers would come, and we would kind of get to meet them because they would come by. And one day, this older couple, I thought they were old, they were probably the same age I am now, came, and maybe they were younger than me. Gee, that's sad. But anyways, they came, and they started talking to my mom. And God, this was a different time, I guess, because, they were a nice couple, and they asked if maybe, I could come have lunch with them. And so my mom said yes, which seems crazy now, but maybe it seemed common sense then. Anyways, and I had lunch with them, and I went back to their campsite with them, and I had a lovely day. And for years, so they were from Oregon, and this was in Maryland. Years and years and years, they wrote to me, and I wrote to them, and they were kind of like this, like surrogate grandparents that we were pen pals. And they traveled around the country, and they would send me notes, and I would send them updates on, things that I had done and what was going on in our lives, and, the different things I was doing in 4-H. It was this really cool relationship of just a neat older pen pal. So when I went to get married, because they were special people in my lives, not because I actually thought they would come, I sent them an invite to our wedding. Now, they lived in Oregon, and by now they were getting a little bit older, but they sent back that they were coming. Now, they were a little bit too old to be driving across country, but they were going to take a Greyhound bus all the way from Oregon to Maryland. They were adventurous souls. And they did. They got on that Greyhound bus. They took a couple different transfers here and there. They stayed different places along the way. And they came to our wedding. And the gift that Mr. Sullivan brought to me was this spoon that he carved. And he put our initials into it. And Mrs. Sullivan put together this lovely photo album. It was a photo album because it had some pictures in it, but mostly it was letters, all the letters that I had written them over the years. And it was a great look into my thought processes as I grew up. It was pretty cool. It was just like one of the neatest gifts. And so I have this spoon is so special to me. I'm going to flip it around so you can see it again in case you're coming in a little bit late. Because it is, it's just such a special little spoon. So this spoon, you can see it's like the edges are all beat up and everything, but yet I use it. And every time I think about not using it, because I know I don't want it to be ruined and I don't want it to not be around later, I think Mr. Sullivan would want me to use it. Because what use is something that's special if you're not using it? Because that's what makes it special, is the daily use of it and being able to hold it in your hand and feel it. And so I do use it. I'm trying to be very careful with it. I, oil it afterwards, and don't put it in the dishwasher and that type of thing, but it is a very special spoon to me, and part of what makes it special is using it. So I was curious if there's things that you have, maybe china from your grandmother or some special thing that someone has given you that you put on a shelf because you want to keep it special and safe, but would it be more special if you actually used it, even if it doesn't last as long? It's a thought. I don't know. I don't know which way is better, but for me, I like using it. So there is not going to be like an actual sunrise, but I'm going to flip it around. We can watch the water. Oh my goodness, maybe I can. Oh, you can't even see it. It's like such a little tiny, tiny pink glow. There's a lot of bird sounds, and so I'm going to finish off today by just being quiet and letting you listen. Another beautiful morning. I hope everybody has a great week. Make it a good one, and I'll see you next Tuesday.